So President Trump plans to stop the chemical physical mutilation of America's children through gender surgeries if he's reelected, he says. We'll get to his message in a moment because it's a doozy. And boy, did the internet explode as a result, and people applauding it up and down, that he would stop this mutilation of our children in the United States if he's reelected. But, you know, some people say, well, maybe he's late to the party on this. Like maybe he could have been more outspoken on this earlier, perhaps. We would have all loved to have stopped this and nipped this in the bud before it got out of hand like it is right now. The United States is a country, though, completely run by special interests in the biopharmaceutical complex. Big Pharma drives all policy decisions in Washington, D.C. I don't know if you've noticed lately. Your life is driven by Big Pharma in the United States. Big Pharma makes a boatload of money off of gender reassignment surgeries. Is it any wonder that the Biden administration is happy to go along with all these horrific surgeries? You know, imagine your 12-year-old decides that they want to, have a mastectomy. And now state laws are saying that parents aren't allowed to get in the way of that. And Big Pharma, of course, doesn't want parents to get in the way of that because they make a lot of money off of these surgeries. Because it's not just the surgery. It's all of the drugs that you'll need to take for the rest of your life. Like you're locked in now, man. You're locked in to Big Pharma and you're on that money train for the rest of your life. Just as an example of how profitable these surgeries are for the biopharmaceutical complex, here's Dr. Shane Taylor from Vanderbilt University talking about their trans clinic and how profitable the surgeries are because they require a lot of follow-up appointments. Watch this.
Starting in January 1st of 2017, according to the Affordable Care Act, insurance carriers are mandated to cover medical expenses for trans folks. Some of our BUMC financial folks in October of 2016, starting a couple of years ago, put down some costs of how much money we think each patient would bring in. And this is only including top surgery. This isn't including any bottom surgery. And it's a lot of money. These surgeries make a lot of money. So female to male chest reconstruction can bring in $40,000. A patient just on routine hormone treatment, who I'm only seeing a few times a year, can bring in several $1,000s. That requires a lot of visits and labs. It actually makes money for the hospital. Now, these I got from the internet, but it's from the Philadelphia Center for Transgender Surgery, which does a lot of surgery for patients. And I just want to give you an idea of how much these bottom surgeries are making. And I think this has to be an underestimate. This is for a vaginoplasty. They're quoting roughly around $20,000 for a vaginoplasty, but that doesn't include your hospital stay. That doesn't include your post-op visits. That doesn't include your anesthesia, your OR. So I would think that this has to be a gross underestimate. I think that's just like the surgeon's piece of it, which anybody who's ever been in the hospital knows that that's like 10% of it. And then the female to male bottom surgeries, these are huge money makers. Again, I think this has to be an underestimate that they're quoting around $20,000 for a phalloplasty. There's been different things that I've read that said it could be up to $100,000. Dr. Winokur, who's our surgeon, says that there's entire clinics where the entire clinic is supported just by their phalloplasties, and that is like a fraction of the surgeries that they're doing. These surgeries are labor intensive, they require a lot of follow-ups, they require a lot of OR time, and they make money. They make money for the hospital.
Isn't it so evil? I mean, it's like evil incarnate is what you're watching right there.
Who in the hell is she talking to? Like who's going to that speech?
Well, it's a group of people in the hospital system. Like, it's like their annual meeting, meeting on how much money the hospital can make. Like, we got to really ramp up our phalloplasties and vaginoplasties because it just brings us a lot of money. And it's not just that, it's all the follow-up meetings and all of the follow-up medication and meetings and OR visits and all of that.
They go out and they prey upon these kids and they tell them, oh, you got to get this. You have gender dysphoria. And they're doing that because they're marketing to these kids. They're going after that demographic so that they can make money.
Right.
What's
and
the
they're
difference
normalizing
between her and them?
It's a good question. And it's a normalizing of what has heretofore been known as a mental illness. right? It's gender dysphoria. It was classified as a mental illness. In fact, I was researching today on different psychologists who are saying, yeah, you know, in the psych wards, this is a mental illness. So now if you say that, oh boy, you know, you're in trouble. But it's now, of course, wokeism has gotten in the way, and now you don't have that. You can't classify it that way anymore, right? So wokeism is no. That's not mental illness. We need to make sure that we're allowing them to get these surgeries. 12 years old and the parents not involved, we keep the parents out of it. Like, we'll take care of it. In fact, the hospitals know how lucrative these surgeries are. They're so lucrative that they want to squash any community dissent about it. It's a smart strategy, actually. Send out people into the community. Listen to this. This is crazy. To push trans propaganda. And basically offer to go to the hospitals, like give them rides to the hospital. Like, we've got our army of people who, like, hey, you want to go get your a mastectomy? You want to go get, genital reconstruction or deconstruction or whatever the hell they want to call it? We'll drive you. It's almost like get out the vote. You know, like, oh, grandma can't get to the polling place. We'll pick you up. That's what they're doing.
Well, and some states are pushing to make it so they can do it out of parental consent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like in California and others, like, we don't need the parents. Like, keep the parents out of it. We'll pick you up and take you. Your parents won't take you to go get that, vagina removed. We'll pick you up and take you. So
that pesky penis?
Call us. So Vanderbilt has a group of people that will do this, and they send them out. They call them trans buddies, and it's a program where they will help you. They'll take you to the hospital for these surgeries. They'll pick you up. And out into the community, pushing trans community, propaganda, basically. Like, so they're like, I don't know what the best way to describe it is. They're like ambassadors, and so they're out in the community, and they call them trans buddies. We'll even take you to your doctor's appointment, make it easier for you. Listen to this.
My name is Sean Riley, and I am the program coordinator for Trans Buddy at the Program for LGBTQ Health at Vanderbilt University. Trans Buddy provides trained peer advocates for transgender patients who are coming for doctor's appointments or other healthcare-related services. Whether you're looking for something that's related to medical transition, such as hormone therapy, or something completely unrelated, like breaking an arm or going to an ENT, we are here to help support any transgender patients that come through our doors. The Trans Buddy program was organically created through the efforts of transgender people and continues to consistently be led by trans people in Middle Tennessee. The Trans Buddy program is a one-of-a-kind in the nation, and institutions are looking to Vanderbilt to replicate and expand programs like ours.
We're not seeking to find solutions often for people's problems. We're just seeking to be there and to accompany and to be a friendly face, and to be a non-medical face in a place where everybody coming in the room is going to be a healthcare provider and may be unsafe.
Sometimes I'm there to be always observing kind of how hospital staff are interacting with the individuals, and again, using correct pronouns or treating the individual with respect.
So we want to make sure that you're not being misgendered. Like, we'll be there with the right pronouns, and we'll drive you for your surgeries. We'll be there. We'll be there to take you.
Wait. Are they talking like you can use the wrong pronouns pre-surgery, but then they make sure you don't pro-surgery? Like,
yeah, I mean, they'll make sure that everything is woke compliant, making sure that you won't be misgendered. Like, we'll really take care of it. So you're totally
right, because they can still call it a penis until it's gone, right? Like,
I guess, and then once it's gone, then you can't call it
pre-vagina. We're gonna operate on your pre-vagina.
Well, no, I did find it interesting that the second clip in there where she said, like, well, we're there to have a non-medical face, so that because most of the people in the hospital are going to be medical, and we want you to feel safe. I'm like, wait a minute, didn't that, like, right, by default the safest place on earth is in the hospital? I mean, like, right, and like, I guess unless it's in a war zone, like, how does that work? You're
worried that it won't be safe for you. It won't be safe for you. Like, your choice is to go there and to have some sort of a gender reassignment surgery, and we just want to be a friendly face to encourage you. Just go along with it. Like, yeah, you may be having second thoughts about having that mastectomy. We'll be there to just let you know that it's okay. Look, I did it, so you can too. And yeah, now I'm on drugs for the rest of my life, and I totally regret it, and I'm totally depressed. But I won't tell you that part of it. But I'll just encourage you to do it. I'm a friendly face. I'm a trans buddy. By the way, I love the music in the background. That music is like standard music for like playtime music, playful music. Like when you're creating like an iMovie on an iPhone, there's like 4 built-in songs that comes with it, and one of them is playtime for like when you've got a little kid and a toddler. Like you can put that music. It's like ding ding ding. Like
that's
fun.
not adult music.
Yeah.
That's not like 17, 18, 19-year-old music. That's like young people music.
Yeah.
Well, it's also the direction I'm going to go with the show music now. The next edit I do the next redacted history. It's going to
have like that music.
Just nothing. That music the entire time.
It's the trans buddy music. Yeah, we'll just play that. So
trans buddy.
So President Trump has an announcement, and he came out with a series of announcements. But he made a bunch of them, but this is perhaps the biggest one. He also said if he was president, he would force peace in Ukraine. Within 24 hours, he would have a peace plan in place so that they would stop killing and people would stop dying in Ukraine, which imagine that. No one in his party wants that, of course, but he did say that. But he did say this about transgender, and his plan is to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our children. Watch.
The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse. Very simple. Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this? I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers, which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth.
Wow. The internet exploded on that. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me there aren't 30 other versions, including people who identify now as a dog, which we've covered on the show?
And what's crazy is like he's going to be called transphobic for this, and the left is going to go nuts trying to keep this going for young people. Like, it's disgusting. Like, I do not like Trump, but I 100% agree with almost everything he just said right then.
There's almost like nothing I disagree with in that statement at all. I mean, really. Yeah. I mean, Government funding for this crap? Government funding for gender affirming, surgeries under the Biden administration. So this is, again, and you're trying to put a stop to what you're watching in the United States, which is a decline of a civilization. You're literally watching a civilization, in total decline right now. And you're seeing like the fall of Rome. And these are the last gasps, and maybe someone like Trump can come in and claim, I don't know. We'll see. I want to sit down with Trump and have an interview, reach out to his team. I've interviewed him, I don't know how many times, like 20 times over the years. And I want to have him on the show, and I want to have a really frank discussion about what he had hoped to accomplish before, which was to drain the swamp of these people, these swamp creatures, but he never did. And he couldn't.
If anything, he brought more swamp dwellers in. Yeah,
and he said he was going to drain the swamp, and unfortunately, and then the argument is that the deep state was so strong and forced him out. Okay, I'd love to really dive into that with him, because what will be different this time? Because those swamp creatures are strong.
You kind of saw it with Kennedy. It is pretty freaking strong. Like he defied them. He's like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm not listening to what you want. Like, we would be in war with Russia on Kennedy's watch, and Vietnam. Like, he refused to start the Vietnam War as well. So there were several things. He went against the military-industrial complex, and that's basically, Trump kind of did as well, but not as hard.
No, not as hard. But they've certainly were angry with his move on Afghanistan. And so, yeah. But I would love to have those conversations with him about this and see, does he actually think he could get this through? Washington, D.C. is the woke capital of the world, And so I'd love to see it. I'd love to see be able to pull this stuff off. I don't know if it's true. And if it's, or just lip service, you'd be able to get it done. Because you really need like the whole federal government fired. And that's really what, like, I think others have said, like, if he wins again, he can't give any of these guys a chance, any of these swamp creatures that he gave a chance the first time. No, he'd have to go in literally and fire everybody. Erase. Bring his own people.
The quote that always comes to my mind is, "This town needs an enema." The Joker in Michael Keaton's Batman. Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, both of these parties are corrupt. So if Republican Party is just as corrupt as the Democratic Party, and there's very little daylight between the two of them. All you need to know that is just to see how they vote on defense budgets, and biopharmaceutical budgets and things like that. They're right in lockstep, and they only differ on certain cultural issues, but they're the same party. They really are, and that's why they try to always squash third parties, because they're a corporate party, and it's there's no daylight between them. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.